We just had the Dallas Card Show this past weekend. It's one of our best shows in the country, our hometown show. I know we were doing $10 RCR raw card reviews all weekend long there. We did some great interviews as well. We were set up in a couple different spots. It was a great time getting to see everybody chatting as well. But something I noticed at the Dallas show is the kind of discrepancy in wax pricing, sealed wax prices, and then the single prices from that same product. Just not even coming close to, let's say, the National Treasures football. We saw a lot of that get ripped at the show. The singles.
That was brutal.
Yeah, and as fun as that is, right? Like the high-end rips and the case of National Treasures, the QB shields that you could pull out of there to potentially, maximize.
I did buy a case of National Treasures when we were there.
I was going to say, I will get into that here in just a second, but what I was going to say is, we saw a case of National Treasures ripped. I think the best card, the case I think they were into for about 16,000.
They pulled a T-Law, but it was like the crossover.
Right.
They pulled a Herbert second-year auto, but I think it was a sticker.
Correct.
But that was kind of the big items.
One of the RPAs, I know there was a cool RPA. It was a receiver, so a skill position player, not a quarterback. Basically, what I'm getting at here is a $15,000 case of cards. The guy probably made $10,000 back.
$15,000 is cheap, by the way.
Right, and that you're correct. They come down.
They come out at 20.
20,000. That's correct. Where does the price point make sense in your opinion to rip wax? Whether it be a case, a box, do you wait for a product to come out to see kind of where the singles prices are sitting, where they kind of situate on the open market, or are you somebody who believes that the first to market, I want to rip that product as soon as I can get my hands on it to get those singles into the market to potentially get, maximum return on that?
So, I mean, there's a lot of people who like to go and do the first to market. And yes, first to market is always going to bring a premium.
Sure.
Every single time. But there's also so many people ripping to get first to market.
Correct.
And I believe there was a first to market card on the WWE stuff that was a John Cena color blast that the guy didn't pay for, that actually sold for like 10 grand, wasn't it?
I think it was, just over $11,000. Yeah.
And then it ended up getting a gem with another grading company because we, assisted in that matter just to help out a friend. But the first to market with that stuff is always going to be, valuable, but the price points on that wax is ridiculous.
It really is.
And to purchase it when it first comes out, you're always going to pay more. I actually bought a box of WWE.
Yep.
I didn't buy the box of WWE until probably a month after it was out. But when it first come out, there was people selling those boxes for $1,600, $1,700 a box.
Correct.
I think, were you in Boston with us that time?
Yep.
So we're in Boston, and they're like $1,600, $1,700 a box. And I was like, I'm not paying that
Double
for a
retail,
box of WWE.
right.
Then the next week, we went to New York. We was at a New York show, and the boxes were $1,100 a box. And I was like, all right, that's $500 cheaper. I'll buy a box. Now I noticed them at the Dallas show. They were like $600 a box. They dropped another $500.
Crazy.
And so I think a lot of that is just being patient. I mean, what's the flawless cases going for now that triple logo man's been pulled? They've got to come. They were at 40 grand a box or a case, or with 2 packs in them or whatever. So I mean, there's good and bad. I mean, if you can get your product early and you get it at a good price, you're one of the distributors and you get in on that level.
Yep. Then
ripping and being first to market can be profitable if you hit something well. If you are if you're out there buying from some of these aftermarket dealers that are all out there, I believe by the time you get your product in and you get it ripped, there's so much more that's already in the market, and so therefore the prices aren't going to, unless you hit something big.
Massive.
I saw a post, and I want to say it might have been by Lamine James as well. It was by our Card Porn or one of them. but they said something along the lines. They were talking about the LaMelo Ball Flawless, and that you spend $40,000 a case or $20,000 a box or whatever it was, and the biggest card that you pull was that one. I mean, that's one of the big cards. I mean, that's one of the chase cards. It's the big rookie that everybody's chasing, but the card sells for like $7 or $8 grand. And so that's when I look at ripping wax and I look at those prices of that, you have to look at what those cards are going to sell for. And I mean, even if you get lucky enough to hit the big card out of there, you're still not going to come out in the positive.
It's crazy. And that's where I think the discrepancy in price between the sealed wax and the singles has just really eliminated the rip and grade kind of market of the hobby, except for that extremely high-end product. And even then, like you said on the LaMelo, they're going to make, they hit one of the top 20 cards of the product and are going to make 40% of the box back, right? And it's
I walked around that Dallas show and I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at some of the lower tier players of this year's NT in some of these cases. I'm not paying $12,000 for Davis Mills. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not paying $8,000 for Kyle Trask.
Right.
I'm not doing it. You tell me why those players are fetching those types of numbers. It's the FOMO.
Right.
It's everybody is trying to grab and they're trying to figure out what the next, big deal is, and it's just a market. It's a funny market, but what draws me back to the unproven players bringing the value that they do.
Sure.
Or even players with no championships that are bringing the value that they do. So, we definitely, I feel we're going to make some sort of correction on some of that, stuff.
Singles prices
and it's
versus
already
wax.
started a little bit. So, yeah.
So let me ask, as somebody who is an investor, both singles and sealed wax, I know you picked up this weekend a case of National Treasures football. What is your plan to maximize your profits, or you maximize your return on your investment?
What are you talking about, man? I'm gonna rip the shit out of it.
Come on now, I know better than that. I wish you would, but I know better than that.
I got asked. People saw me with that case, and I bet I got asked 6 times after they saw me. Did you rip that case? Did you rip that case? No, I actually bought the case, walked straight over to the PWCC booth at Dallas, dropped the case off, and check send to Premier Auction in August. And the reason being is August is that month before football season starts, so your preseason football gets cranking. It's right before season kicks off on September 8th. People are getting in that football mode, and that $15,000 case that I bought will probably bring me somewhere around, it'll be between $20,000 and $22,000 is what it should sell for in August.
So let me ask you this. Why would you rather risk $15,000 on, let's just say, the draft class of 2021 football, right? Let's say the draft class that comes in that National Treasures product for that year. Why would you rather say, I'm going to put $15,000 into this draft class versus, let's say, I'm going to go buy a $15,000 Mac Jones RPA? And I say Mac Jones, but it could be anybody. Why would you rather buy sealed wax of a class versus a single card maybe for the same?
Yeah. No, I mean, so it's spreading out my risk over the entire class rather than one player. So it's kind of the difference between buying, individual stock with, say, American Airlines, or buying a mutual fund, which is a class of, different investments. So
sure.
It just, your growth on it is not going to be as strong when you buy the sealed wax, but you're going to get a steady growth like you would in a mutual fund. So your chances of losing money in wax is minimal compared to you losing money on an individual card.
Interesting. So you would say probably a higher floor for return on investment, but maybe a lower ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the $15,000 case, I could tell you this. It's not going below $15,000.
Sure.
I'm not going to lose money on that case. It's just not. It's not going to lose any money. It's only going to go up from that point. And I'm telling you, the closer we get for the season, you're going to have people who are wanting Trey Lance. You're going to have people who are wanting Justin Fields. You're going to have people who are wanting, Trevor Lawrence. You're going to have people who are wanting those guys and Mac Jones and so on, Davis Mills and, whoever, that they're going to want to rip those cases.
Big time.
And the more breakers that are ripping those cases, the less products that are sealed as we get closer to season. And so we all know that scarcity raises value.
Yep.
And that's why I bought it and hold it.
I love it.